So that is pretty much it in a nutshell. I have Ann Wilson in studio with me. You might know her of
Hi.
Heart, solo
Hi.
artist, easily one of the greatest voices in rock and roll of all time.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's very true. How are you? I'm so excited to have you in studio today. How you doing?
Well, thank you. I'm doing good. I just got over from New York doing a bunch of, interviews and stuff there for my new record, and I'm ready to go on West Coast now.
Absolutely. You mean I'm not your first? What? This I've had this on So Ann has a cover album, or should I call it a tribute album?
Whichever you like.
It's both.
Yeah,
It's both.
It is.
Immortal, and I've had it on a constant loop in my car. It's good stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Excellent.
really digging it. Where are you living these days?
I'm living in North Florida.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe Seattle, back in Seattle. Or?
I still have a house there, and but we're living in Florida at the moment. Just couldn't take the weather in Seattle after a bunch of years. It was wearing on me. So
The weather, mostly the gray.
Oh yeah.
I lived there for a little bit.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of sunny days. I was impressed.
You pay for them dearly, but when they come, it's heaven.
Yeah, it really
For
is.
sure.
Yeah, Florida's nice. Just stay out of the hurricane's way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez,
Right.
that's pretty crazy. But so, and Seattle was a big home base for you many years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you've kind of built those relationships in the grunge scene.
Yeah.
You've got some good relationships with Alice in Chains.
Yeah. It's a tight knit community, or it especially was in those years, and because there's no competition there between musicians, it's a real community.
And you've recorded
Great.
you did Alice in Chains and Mike McCready.
Right.
Did you recorded, what was that? Mike McCready, I remember that. And then the Foos,
Yeah.
was it Letterman? You guys
yeah.
did Kick It Out?
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun. I
Yeah.
remember that a few
That's
years ago.
right.
Yeah, good stuff. So what was and you did the Battle of Evermore cover for the single soundtrack too. What was that whole
right.
scene like?
That was, I think, at the peak of what is called the grunge scene. No one in Seattle really called it grunge, but that's what it was called. And it was really sort of a Renaissance period. It was great. It was everybody appearing on each other's stages, hanging out at parties together, jamming, watching each other, supporting each other. I mean, there were hard times too. A few people didn't make it, and so the rest of the music community would come and support them, and it was a great human time.
Were
Very great.
were you close with Chris Cornell?
Yeah, we were friends, and we partied and hung out and jammed and did things together, and I really loved him. He was a very, very cool person, great soul, smart, passionate, complicated.
Complicated, intense.
Yes,
Add
very.
intense to that. One of my favorite artists, for sure. I
Yeah.
was so bummed. That was a bad day.
Well, it was definitely a blind side for the outside world. I can't say that I was really surprised, because I knew of his personal struggles with the objectification of celebrity,
Yeah.
you might say. But still, so on my new record, one of the songs I do on there is Chris from his Audio Slave days, I'm the Highway. And I really feel like that's a song that really is Chris all over.
It's a great cover, and I've got it here, so we'll throw that on in a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Chris, I've heard that many times. People, friends and family around Chris say they weren't that surprised.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate for those left behind, for sure. The children and his wives and family.
Yeah.
I knew his sister pretty well. She was my assistant for a while. And all the Cornells, very interesting people, deep.
Yeah. You had a lot of success, early success, and pretty lucky as far as time frame, because you get these bands that are at it for years and years and years, and you guys kind of formed, and Nancy joined Heart, and just a few years later, Dreamboat Annie went pretty big.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. What would your advice be now? And I think the scene has changed quite a bit, but for a rock band who's really trying to break through, what would your advice be to them?
Yeah, the scene has changed as to be unrecognizable, really, from what it was when we started. But my advice would be, don't expect miracles. Don't expect to go on a TV show and get a long career out of it. What you do is you go and you play every little nook and cranny you can, and you form your voodoo. You really make something cool, something original. Don't just expect to go on a TV show and be a huge star.
Make it your lifestyle. What
Right.
is that unique rock sound we're looking for?
It's for me, it's got acoustic at its heart, and it gets as big and as meaty and powerful as you want, but it can also come down and be as intimate as you want. It's got dynamics and range, but most of all, it's real.
Do you think it's time for the next big rock star to be female?
If she's good,
Right?
yeah.
Lizzie Hale, Taylor Momsen, they're pretty close.
Yeah.
They're great voices
Right.
for sure.
I think what's important is not the way somebody identifies gender-wise; it's how good they are as a musician. And the day when it stops being men and women is a happy day where I'm concerned. When everybody's just doing it together equally.
Well, and a little more on that. We're living in the hashtag Me Too
Yeah.
movement era.
True. Yep.
And so, and you've being a sexy woman in the industry, for years and years now, and when you started, largely a man's world at the time. Did you ever experience any inappropriate behavior, anything awkward, anything uncomfortable?
Yes, constantly.
Yeah.
I would say in the late 70s and throughout the 80s, it was more that than not. It's just, especially in the late 70s, women were so few and far between in the rock scene that they were looked on as novelties, like having a chimp in the room, Well, hey, we have this hour's woman, token woman. So that has changed, thank goodness, so much.
So much.
But some things haven't changed. I think some of the worst parts of harassment just go underground to get more subtle.
True. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it does happen, and it's. But it's. I think it's a slow progression.
Yeah.
In the right,
yeah. I was
direction.
going to say it is getting better, and it's just getting better by increments. Just real slow, but winning.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all we can ask for.
Yep.
We'll get there.
Yes.
So Ann Wilson is joining me, and she's got this great cover album. This is another edition of Celebrities Playing Rock. So we're going to throw on some of the songs off of Immortal, which are fantastic. Also throwing on some songs that you chose that inspired you somehow, some way. On the list, you have Queen.
Yes.
We
of
Are the
course.
Champions. Okay, so what was it about this song? Where does the inspiration come?
Oh, the inspiration for me with I'm the Champions is it's just this wide open bravado, just that super pride and confidence, and it just always inspired me to just go out there and grab the mic and hold it up in the air, I just always thought it was real great, strong.
So let's do this. We're going to come back in a minute, and we'll get into some of Ann Wilson's covers, which are fantastic, in just a few minutes. Let's do Queen. We Are the Champions. Ann Wilson joining me for another edition of Celebrities Playing Rock.
It always gives me chills.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah.
It's a great song. Get
Yeah.
you pumped.
Yeah.
It's the Rock of Southern California, 95.5 KLOS. Ann Wilson is joining me for another edition of Celebrities Playing Rock. Really excited to have you in today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
in.
glad you're joining me. You've got this great album called Immortal, tribute album, cover songs on here. I'm really digging it. I told you I've got it it's on in my car. It's been on nonstop.
It should be on in the car.
Right.
Yep.
It's good driving music.
Good.
How did you go through? What was your selection process? How did you narrow down? There's so many great songs out there to cover.
Yeah.
How did you select these?
Well, first of all, I was going to make a record of songs by artists who have gone. They've all died. They've all passed on. But their songs are still here. And so I chose the artists that I loved the most, and I went into each one and I chose the songs that I loved the most, not necessarily the hits.
Yeah.
I wanted to go in and see, go deep,
Yeah.
and see
Luna,
my favorites.
Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Great song, but not a mainstream popular
Nope,
song, for
not
sure.
at all.
I'm Afraid of Americans is
Yeah.
great. I really like that cover. We've got You Don't Own Me. We were just talking about this. Interesting choice. And also in the hashtag Me Too era.
Right. Yeah. That song by Leslie Gore originally came out in 1964, right? When about the best that she could do was stand up to her jock boyfriend and say, like, hey, buddy boy, you don't own me. Well, that song has come way forward universally to our era, when we're having a discourse in this country about respect for all people.
Right.
Not just women, but all people, no matter what their identification. So I think of it that way, this is a song asking for independence and respect for everyone.
And just as powerful now, but in 1964,
Yeah.
some jaws were dropping.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, let's do it. Ann Wilson, You Don't Own Me on 95.5 KLOS.
Haynes.
Yeah. And we were talking about this a second off the air. You just let him kind of go.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say to Warren Haynes?
Yeah.
You don't tell him what to play. You just say, welcome.
Yeah.
Go.
And nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. We've got to take a quick break. As much as I don't want to, let's do it. We'll pay the bills. I've got to do this Twitter trend report as well, taking a look at what's trending on Twitter today. Captain Marvel, the trailer's out today, and it's being shared all across social media. It's National Cheeseburger Day. Did you know? So it's time to show off your burger. So I'm talking. Do you want a burger? Go get burgers.
I always want burgers, but I don't have them,
Well, you have better willpower than I do. And finally, Mario Kart is trending, but for the wrong reasons. If you don't know what that is, it's a Super Mario-themed racing game, but it's trending because Stormy Daniels compared Donald Trump's penis to the mushroom figure in Mario Kart. And that is what's trending on Twitter. It's brought to you by Brooks of Orange County. But it's funny. If it's funny, it's okay. Ann Wilson is joining me in studio today for another edition of CPR. She's got a great album out called Immortal. We're going to come back with more of that shortly.